Hi guys, and welcome to all the books I'm reading in the first week of college. So let's just directly get into what's probably going to be a really fun and kind of memorable reading vlog. So for context, tomorrow I am starting college. This is coming full circle because last year I remember sitting at this exact spot, exact tripod position, telling you, listen, it's going to be my first day of high school, so here are all the books I end up reading. And we're doing the same version this year except for my first day of college. So now over the span of the next few days, because tomorrow is a Tuesday when it's starting, I think until Friday or maybe Saturday we read together. We're kind of going to try to see how many books I can end up getting and what I do end up getting to in my first week of college, and I'll take you guys along with me, show you some aesthetics, because that would be fun to look back on in a couple years to kind of see what I did in the first week, because that again is going to be so nostalgic one day, which is why this is coming in this vlog more for memory purpose, but also it's going to be fun trying to read a couple fun books as I start kind of exploring a new chapter of my life. And so let's just directly get into it. I am going to start tomorrow morning, so I'll see you maybe tomorrow once I have started our first book for this video and thoughts on it. But just came in to record this video today, the intro specifically, because this is going to be again crazy to look back on. Hi guys, it's now the next day. It's now been my first day of college, so it's update time because I have a couple stories to tell you before we get into what books I ended up picking out so far in the video. But since the last time I came in and spoke to you, I feel like this is full circle because last year I was sitting down telling you about my first day of high school, and today I'm telling you about my first day of college. So it's a little confusing, but I had the best day ever today. Honestly, it was so perfect. I feel like there was nothing that could have made it better because everything about that place is so spectacularly amazing. Everyone there is so nice. Random people were smiling at me from across the street, like genuinely you don't have to be that kind, and that truly made my day. So I had the best time ever, and then got back from college, went to driving school in the evening, which is why I've been a little busy, but now it's finally update time in the evening and I have an hour or so I can still continue reading before I need to go for dinner. So I'm going to get in some reading now hopefully. But for updates, last night while I was picking out my stuff for today morning, so I was packing my bag and I was picking out my clothes or whatever, I ended up starting this audiobook to listen to because I thought it'd be so funny starting it on my first week of college. It's called Girl Abroad by Elle, and I heard of it I think a couple years at this point, but I thought it'd be funny if I read it during college, which is why I've been saving it all this time. And so finally, now that I got my chance, I pounced on it. Essentially, it's kind of like a new girl concept wherein there's this girl, I believe her name is Abby or Ashley, something of the kind, and I believe Abby, she's an American who lives under the roof of this overbearing rock star father, and because of his previous musician life or whatever, he's not really comfortable with letting her out and go out and about because he knows what the world's like, and she just wants some sort of freedom. So when she gets the chance to kind of study abroad or whatever, she jumps at it and she goes right under him and she's just like, listen, hey, I'm moving out, I'm going to London now. And while he isn't okay with it in the moment, obviously because he's the dad, he doesn't want her leaving the house, he still ends up letting her go. She goes to her London flat or whatever, the one she's renting out with another couple girls or whatever, really nice people she met online. Except as it turns out, when she goes to the flat that she's now renting out, all the times that because of the time difference she wasn't really able to speak with her flatmates, she didn't really realize that these supposed girls were actually guys. So as it turns out, the flat she's actually rented right now, she's ended up rooming in with 3 other guys, all extremely attractive, and now she cannot tell her father that because he's gonna have her shipped back to America, back locked in her room. And so now she has to pretend like she's rooming with girls, but really she's rooming with boys. And it was an honest mistake, but it kind of goes from there because she doesn't want to go back home, but at the same time she doesn't really want to live with them. She's trying to figure out what's going on, and as all of this is happening, she's starting to fall for them. So she's falling for one, the rugby player Australian guy called Jack, and number 2, this other guy they know from the friend group who is kind of like this musician, but he's got a girlfriend. So it's kind of like cheating, which I'm not really on board with, which is why I'm really hoping she picks the Aussie. But it's still really cool because there is a little bit of love triangle, but you kind of can see where it's going. And then not just that, as she's doing her study abroad, she actually has this thing wherein she needs to be studying art and history and stuff, and she's drawing inspiration from British paintings and stuff, stories, and digging deeper into that. And so there's a whole other storyline, but so far I think I'm only 20% of the way through because I'm listening on 4x speed, which is why it's getting done really fast, but I'm not very far in because I didn't listen to a lot to begin with. So I feel so far the storyline, it's very interesting, and if she doesn't pick Jack the Aussie, truly I'm never reading an Elle book again. But it's a good time so far because it's definitely giving me the new girl quirkiness that I wanted because I love that show. And listen, she's in college, she ends up up going and she moves out into the first flat with guys. Like, that's such a funny storyline. And while I'm not moving out this year specifically, I've been going over it for the past few months or whatever, and then I figured I just don't have it in me to leave the house. I still think it's an interesting story to read, that, you know, maybe in another lifetime, maybe if I moved out, maybe if I moved into a different house and that happened, genuinely I'd be freaking out, running away. But still, it's something funny to consider, and I'm so happy I'm reading it now because I can genuinely actually relate to what's going on in it, and I feel like it's perfect storyline. Now, also for some context, like I said, I'm not moving out, which means my college is really far away from home. My commute comes to about 2 hours every single day. So while I could have listened to this book in the car, since I cannot drive still, I'm still working towards getting my license, I need to actually commute there daily. While I could have listened on the commute over, I forgot my AirPods this morning, so didn't listen to shit in those 2 hours. I was staring out at traffic. But hopefully tomorrow I won't repeat that mistake, and now while I go pick out a couple other things, doing a couple different things, errands or whatever of the sort, I actually want to continue listening because so far I'm having a really good time with this, and I haven't seen great reviews, but I think I'm kind of enjoying it. So we'll see where this goes. Again, there isn't like much going on at the moment at least, but hopefully the love triangle doesn't become like a big part of it, because like I said, one of the guys has a girlfriend and that veers into cheating territory, which is not something I'm going to stand for. But so far that hasn't happened yet. So here's to praying it doesn't. Here's to praying the book goes the way it's going, because right now I'm having a good time. And then one last thing, my best friend, she's also coming to the same college where I'm at in a week's time. She's actually not in town right now, and it's her birthday also in a week's time. So now I actually want to go start working on her birthday gift as well. And like I may have said, I have like an hour or so now to read before dinner, which is why I think what I'm gonna do now is kind of listen to my book, kind of get some of it done, and we'll see how much I end up finishing out as I go work on her gift and also pick out my stuff for tomorrow, because there's a little bit to do right now, which is why it's perfect to be listening to an audiobook. That's my favorite way to read, and you know, getting stuff done, getting my book done, having a good time overall. And so far no thoughts specifically on the writing or the story, but hopefully it does pick up because it is slowing down a little bit at the point where I'm at. So I'm gonna go keep reading. I'll update hopefully very soon, and bye. That's my update for first day of college and a whole ass rant over my book, but I'll see you very soon now. Bye. It's only 2 minutes later and I went and checked the Goodreads kind of summary for the book, because in my head I was just like, I'm 100% sure I'm missing out on something, and I just wanted to confirm if I was or wasn't. I forgot to mention that the whole thing with the roommates in the new flat or whatever, as it turns out, they have the rule in the flat or whatever that there's non-fraternization, so they can't like be together or anything, because there was this bad experience with this girl in the past, which is why there can't be any romantic entanglements, but she's still falling for Jack, and so it kind of goes from there. But that's basically what I forgot to mention, which is why it becomes like this whole almost forbidden thing with Jack because it's not allowed, and with the other guy because he has a girlfriend. And while I'm not again behind that, it's still kind of giving forbidden, and while I'm not enjoying that storyline, hopefully she does end up with Jack, because that guy, that's it. That's all I'm gonna say. So I'm gonna go get back to reading, and I'll see you guys in a bit. Bye. I swear you guys are gonna get so sick of me right now. Here's me coming in again a second time around because I forgot to mention yet another thing. Today is also the best day ever because I actually ordered this book in the mail last week that I've been meaning to call for all this time now, and it finally came. So I called for A Run by Blake Crouch. I gave this 5 stars back in January. It was my first 5-star read of this year, and I finally got my physical because it's been out of stock for so long now, and then when it comes back in stock I forget to order it. So now that I finally did, it's here, and while it is a little bent up and, you know, beat up, it's not the best time. The quality is actually kind of shit. I feel like for some reason whenever I order books online these days, the quality isn't great. I don't even care, I'm keeping it because returning it is not good for the environment. It's not that bad. I feel like it's not really falling apart, which means it'll be fine. But regardless, if we end up doing a reread this week, that'll be so fun because I love this book a lot. So maybe that's on the cards for this week later. But this came in the mail and I just wanted to mention, because any day I get book mail is the best day ever, and today is the best day ever. So I had to just come in, shout that out, and I'm actually gonna go now and get to reading, because I keep saying that and I never do it, but I will. I'm also recording my reading journal vlog right now, and all the books I'll be reading separately for that, kind of as I reading journal. I won't be speaking about in this video, even though those are books I'm reading in my first week of college. So if you want to see what books I end up reading, definitely go check that vlog out specifically for that video. But that's also as part of this week, because I'm reading more books. It's just I'm not documenting all of them specifically for this video, and I'm actually gonna go now. Bye. Look who's blending in with the background today, but it's now basically the next evening. I've come in to give you more updates on the book before I go finish it out once and for all, because I have only 1 hour left on the audiobook and I have the best news ever. So today I actually did end up carrying my AirPods on the commute and I had the best time, not because I'm enjoying the book, I'm actually kind of hating it at the moment, but truly just listening to a book, kind of plugging into a story, getting lost in that world, but also watching the scenery go by as I'm commuting to college. Best time ever, because genuinely at some point we were stuck in traffic or whatever. I'm listening to my book, I'm entertained, I don't even care, and it was really good. It was a fun time. But thanks to all of that, I have only 1 hour left on my audiobook, which means I should be done very soon. So I have a couple semi-final thoughts I wanted to give before I go finish it out and then come in with my final rating. But so far, here's a couple things I wanted to discuss. Number one, this girl keeps saying that she would never kind of like encroach upon another woman's territory, and I mean this in reference to the love interest who already has a girlfriend. So she keeps saying, oh, I'll never poach another person's man, or I'll never, go ahead and lead him on and like spoil their relationship. I don't want to be the homebreaker, I don't want to be the one who like wrecks everything all. But also, she is such a hypocrite because she says these things and then a couple chapters later, in an indirect roundabout way, she ends up doing it anyway, and then she's like rationalizing all of it by saying, oh, but I was never really such close friends with the girl anyway. And that's such like a huge ick, because number one, that is disgusting, that is gross, and number two, you're going back on what you said. Can you make up your damn mind? And then not just that, in relation to the whole making up her mind, she's so indecisive because once she's finally starting to get with both of these guys, she lets them know. So it's definitely written in a way that isn't taken across as cheating. She lets both of the guys know that, listen, hey, I'm not exclusive with y'all or whatever, I'm seeing other people, and that's fine. That's one thing going in her favor. But the time she's taking to actually decide and make up her mind, she's with one guy, she's thinking about the other guy, and then vice versa. I'm so sorry. Number one, you started a relationship somewhat leading the guy on with the girlfriend who already had a girlfriend when he was in a relationship, and then now once you're finally getting his attention, you're jumping to the other guy. When you're getting his attention, you're jumping back to this guy, and I'm just like, girl, make up your mind, because it's not fair on either of the guys what she's doing. And even though she did clarify, I feel like the whole indecision is just not alright, because it does feel like a roundabout way of kind of justifying the cheating, which is again not okay in my books. Another thing I also wanted to mention is that I feel like love interests are just thrown in this book to kind of get like a jealousy plot angle, because apart from our main two love interests in the love triangle, there were another couple guys thrown in there, however briefly or whatever in passing, just to incite these jealousy scenes. So I feel like the author is kind of throwing in guys at this point just to use them as a plot device for jealousy, and otherwise there's no like emotional connection. So I feel like the guys genuinely, there's no personality, the characters aren't well fleshed out or developed, they're just in there to kind of get you the jealousy plotline so that you actually enjoy it. But at the same time, now, because thanks to all of that, I'm not rooting for anyone, I just want the book to be over because it feels so stupid to me. Again, so sorry if this is your favorite book, but for me personally, there's a lot I cannot get behind it. And the way it's just taking the angle, the route it's going right now, I'm hating every second. On the other hand though, a couple of plus points that also I wanted to mention, because it's not all negative. Number one of the platonic friendships she has with one of the other guys in the flat who they're all rooming with or whatever, it does give me Schmidt and Jess vibes from New Girl, so that is good. But also it's not really that great, because if I told you it's giving me those vibes, it's still not worth it enough to read the book, because there's a lot that's going against its favor. And then the second thing, I feel like a lot of British comedy is kind of over exaggerated in it, wherein every other page some of the other guys going, hey mate, or hey bloke, and like, I get that it's overdone and it's supposed to be hilarious, but at this point I'm getting a little sick of it, because it's not funny. It's just coming across as a little too much. I feel like if it was toned down, it would have been better, because if someone did that about my country people, I wouldn't have the best time reading it. And even though it's a little funny right now, I definitely do know that if I was British or whatever, I definitely would have hated every second of this, because it's a little overdone. So if you're okay with that, definitely go pick it up. But if you aren't, keep that in mind, because it's coming across as an ick now. At the beginning it was still fine, but right now, not the best time. So I'm gonna go get back to reading. I have like an hour or so to listen to now, which is perfect, because now I can listen to my audiobook, get some work in, my favorite kind of thing to do. And as I do that, I kind of want to work on my best friend's gift now, because I'm still working on it. So I'm gonna go do all of that. I'm gonna go maybe finish the book out honestly at this point, so we can move on to something that's hopefully better, because so far the experience isn't that great. But now about my best friend's gift. A couple videos ago I mentioned that I wanted to make her like a plushie or something for her birthday, like something crocheted, but now I'm thinking I thought of something more thoughtful that I kind of want to work on, because like I said, I'll be commuting every single day back and forth from college, because truly I don't have it in me to move out, too sentimental with everyone in the house to actually do it. I just cannot. She, however, will be moving out, and she's kind of scared and anxious about what life's gonna be like in her new chapter when she's not really living at home. She's not got everything she's used to. I'm thinking I want to write her like a bunch of letters or whatever, just so she doesn't feel alone when she's out there all by herself, because I was gonna move in with her and we found like a different place as well, but now I can't go through with it, and so I kind of feel bad, but at the same time I want to be there anyway. And so here's the way I plan to foresee myself actually being there for her. So I've already made the envelope. I saw like a YouTube tutorial and kind of followed it, but then also changed things up. And I also have cut out the little index cards I need to write the letters on. I just want to go ahead and decorate all of this. So as I listen, I think what I'm going to do is get my stuff ready for tomorrow's day of college, and then maybe go ahead and decorate these in like tulips or whatever. I'm not really sure. Fix this thing up, and then hopefully write the letters at some point once the audiobook is done, because I can't focus on both at the same time. So for now it's just decoration artsy stuff, but I will get to this soon because she is coming back in a week and it's also her birthday in a week. Really need to buck up, but I'm gonna go do all of that now. Hopefully we'll be done with the audiobook soon and I can pick something else up, because now I'm a little sick of this book. I can't wait to be done, and so hopefully very soon we'll have our next book picked up or whatever that'll hopefully be better than what this is. And I'll see you then whenever I do so. I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna go actually continue listening, and yeah, that's it. That was a whole ass long update, but also lots to speak about. So I'm gonna go now. I'll see you guys in a bit. Bye. Okay, so it's that time of day wherein I sit down and give you updates on my book, on whatever I've read and some progress. So here we are. I have gone ahead and finished Girl Abroad. I actually finished it last night, so I have a couple other things I need to speak about. But first, let's just wrap up my review of this, because we've been speaking about this book for far too long and it just doesn't deserve that, because what on earth did I just read? Firstly, she's called Abby. I just went and checked to, ensure that I got it right this time. And every time they want to like nickname her or call her something, they call her Abs. I'm trying so hard not to cringe right now. Anyway, apart from all of that, she's insufferable, she's stupid. Anytime you were in her perspective, I was hating every second. I just found her so freaking annoying. And then not just that, about the whole love interest triangle. Every time she's with one guy, she's always thinking about the plus points of the other guy. So when she's with Jack, she's thinking about how much she likes Nate, and when she's with Nate, she's thinking about how much she likes Jack. And then if all of that isn't enough, she herself is such like a cardboard cutout. I wish she was like better than that, but she's just a stereotypical quirky girl or whatever. And then for some reason, all these guys, there's 4 different love interests, all of them are falling head over heels for her. That's 4 too many, because she has 0 personality, but apparently these foreign strangers find her quirky enough to be lovable, and suddenly you're just wondering what the hell they see in her, because she's just so freaking annoying. I feel like the only saving grace about this book was the whole friendship with her roommates, especially one of the other ones, because they're so funny. But then not just that, there's also like New Girl vibes, which I was really enjoying. Only occasionally when it came in very briefly before it was overshadowed by whatever else was going on. And then the whole mystery aspect with regards to the painting she's researching, because I feel like that honestly felt a bit like the main character Abby was kind of self-inserting into the painting story, but then at the same time the way the painting story ended, like I was a bit underwhelmed, but it was still fine enough in comparison to what this book was. I feel like everything about this book, I'm so sorry, do not come after me, is half-assed in my opinion. So if you want to read it, you definitely can, but for me personally, 2 stars, maybe 2.5 if I'm feeling generous. But so far, I have probably read one of the worst books this month, and it's going to be this one. This actually takes the cake, because I read quite a few bad ones this month, but this one, I'm sorry, you're just cheating left and right and, justifying and rationalizing all of it, and then you're just like being your quirky, adorable self and trying to like pull off Jess from New Girl, except you're doing it so terribly, you appear trashy or whatever. And so I hated it. I hated every second. There's so much about it I could nitpick at and just talk shit about, honestly, especially the whole ending, because I feel like there was no like specific route for either of the love interests as well. At the very end, she just gives this like weird ass explanation, 2 lines. She's not even decided up until the last chapter, and finally when she gives those last 2 lines in the last chapter or whatever, when she finally makes up her mind who she wants to be with, I'm just like, I feel like this whole book was using the love triangle story arc to kind of drag the story plotline ahead, because otherwise it didn't have any substance. And so here we are. I hated every second. The whole thing wherein she literally couldn't make up her mind till the very end, I feel like again there was so much like stupid shit that was thrown in there all throughout, which is why I can't get behind this book. I do not see the hype. Please let me know if Elle Kennedy's books, the other ones, ones, The Deal and whatever, that series. Let me know if it's good because I wanted to read it, but so far I'm like actually contemplating it taking off my TBR because I hated this so much. I don't want to waste my time reading something that's similar to this because that I believe also takes place on a college campus, and while this wasn't college heavy, it definitely was student vibes heavy, and so not ready for that pain again if I have to endure it, because literally off me if I have to go ahead and read books like that again. But yeah, back to the original point. Even when she finally makes up her mind at the very end, because of the whole back and forth throughout the whole 99% of the book, wherein she's just like, oh, but he's like this, but the other one's like this, or whatever and whatever, she's falling for them on the basis of appearance, and there's no like substance to either of the characters. There's a bit of backstory provided for the first. The second one, she just likes him because of the way he looks and whatever, the vibe he gives. And so overall, when she finally chooses who she wants to be with, the explanation she gives for it is again very half-assed. Do not come after me, that's just how I feel. And I feel like it wasn't enough because you spend about 400 maybe more pages trying to decide between the two of them, and suddenly that's the explanation you go with. I'm sorry, that just made me so mad, and I hate it every second, and I wish I was into DNFing books because this would be in the DNF graveyard right now, not on my read list, because it doesn't deserve to be there. Honestly, I hate it every second. And now let's move on. One last thing I want to actually mention about this book, because I just forgot and then I remembered instantly, and I was just like, listen, you guys need to know, because y'all are my besties and I need to bitch about this book with someone. Where the female like relationships or just female identities are portrayed in this book is so ugly and toxic. Like, I get you have like male best friends or whatever, but like the way the female relationships are done, they're so bad. Females are not like that in real life. I don't know what came across in this book. I don't know why it was done that way, but yeah, it felt a little weird to read because just what was that? They aren't like that in real life. No one is like that in real life. Why was it portrayed and depicted that way? Because genuinely, if you have friends like that, run away in the opposite direction and please don't come back. Literally, that's like red flags across the mile. And maybe it was to get her closer to the roommate, so the whole jealousy subtrope could be thrown in or whatever. But like, clearly I'm getting mad right now, so we'll move on. But that's how I feel right now, because that was such an inaccurate portrayal and I hated every second of it, especially when they showed up, because just like, what is going on? Okay, so since then I did have to go ahead and listen to something on my commute today, because like I said, I finished last night, which by the way, as I was finishing it up, I kind of finished decorating my friend's sort of gift as well. This is the design I've gone with. It's really just simple or whatever. I want to make it more fancy on the inside. I will not show you the photo cards, the index cards inside and the letters I write on them, because it's obviously personal, but this is what I'm going with so far. I still want to make her a plush, so we'll try to do that over the weekend if there is time. But as I was listening to the previous book, I managed to go ahead and finish at least a somewhat decent decoration of this. So now all I have to actually go is on the inner cards that I've placed inside. I have to just go write my messages out. So now I can't really be listening to an audiobook as I write that, because I need to actually rack my brains and think of stuff to write, which is why no more audiobook for this specifically. But for college, I have been given like a really complicated, almost art homework assignment or whatever I guess you can call it, and it's really late. I should have started it earlier because I don't know if I'm going to end up finishing, but the deadline is tomorrow. So what I'm going to do right now is actually start working on that first, get that out of the way, and then get back to this. And as I do that, I can obviously be listening to another audiobook, which is something I'm definitely going to be doing at least right now, because again, audiobooks for the win, they get me so much shit done. And now for context, because I'm not really sure if I've spoken about this on camera before, I have to be reading some kind of book at all times. There's never been like one time, or maybe when I go at night or whatever, I finish a book at night, the next morning I have to start a new book, but there's never not a time when I'm not reading a book. So at all times, you'll notice on my Goodreads, I'm always reading like a bunch of books. I read more than one book at the same time, and it's always there, even if I'm not recording a video specifically. So if I finish this vlog, I'm still gonna go ahead and pick up another random book, even if it's not specifically for the next video I'm recording, just to have in the background to read. And so as I do all of that, in the past couple of weeks, I haven't really recorded like a specific reading vlog. So I've got a couple of books in backlog that I did end up starting or whatever, but didn't get back to, or didn't continue, or didn't go ahead and finish because I wanted to speak about them on camera, but then also there was no video going specifically for them, which is why we're going to try to work on finishing them now, because I have 3 in that range. So what I want to go ahead and do now is continue listening to the one I was listening on my commute in the morning. I have not so much left, I think like half an hour at max, because I've been listening to that and reading that on and off on Kindle back and forth for like, I feel like at least a week at this point, so it should get done tonight, which is why I'm going to continue listening. I'll work on my art assignment. I'll show you what it turns out like, because it's very complicated, the instructions for it, which is why I can't explain, but the end result hopefully will be alright. And you know, if it's embarrassing, I won't show it, but if it's alright, I'll show you what it turned out like. And so I'm gonna go listen to Invisible Girl by Jewell because I'm obsessed with her books at the moment. I read a different one earlier this month, had such a great time, even though I had like an anxiety attack right after reading it, which is why probably not a good idea, but I feel like I'm alright right now, so I should just go end the book off, see how it concludes, because I've been waiting for this for so long now, a week literally. I had it on my TBR for much longer, and so I'm gonna go get back to that. I'll give you like a summary once I'm done or whatever and final thoughts. But so far, like I said, there isn't a lot left in the book. I believe I'm at like the 89% mark or something, so it'll be done really fast. I'll go do that and I'll work on my assignment, and that's the next book we're reading in this vlog. I will finish tonight, so I'll have to see which of the other books I have remaining that I'll pick out for tomorrow's commute in the morning, because it's like a whole huge ass ride. But you know, regardless, we'll get to that when we do. And also on my commute, I have been trying in the past couple of days to record clips, but also it's getting a little weird because there's a lot of traffic and I don't want to add people's faces in it and show people without consent or whatever. So I'm trying to really get clips, because that side of town where the college is at, it's beautiful. There's like stone architecture, there's like these beautiful like peonies and colorful flowers that are growing that I really want to capture, but also there's a lot of traffic over there. So if I get clips, I will definitely include them in the video. But regardless, I'm trying my hardest, so you know I'm actually doing stuff on the commute, because this video has hardly any b-roll otherwise, and so lots of issues right now. I will probably go sort them, but I'm gonna go continue listening to The Invisible Girl because I've been waiting all day, especially considering where I stopped off after I reached home after my commute. So I'm gonna go do that, have the best time doing it, and I'll see you guys hopefully in a bit with not an anxiety attack once I'm done, because let's pray to God that doesn't happen this time around. See you in a bit. Bye. Hi guys, so it's not much later now, it's only been a little bit, but I have gone ahead and finished listening to our audiobook. As I was listening, I did end up going ahead and instead picking out my outfit for tomorrow, because I don't want to do it in the morning, I'll get late otherwise. I just can't do it so early. So I have everything picked out and ready for tomorrow, and then I started on my assignment and it ended briefly just like that. So now I do need another audiobook because the submission for that, the deadline's tomorrow. So we are gonna have to continue reading potentially into the night, but as we do all of that, I figured we could come speak about Invisible Girl first, then I'll tell you what I'm picking out next, because there's a lot of the way still left to go. Basically, I managed to finish majority of listening to this basically on the commute this morning, and then on the way back, and then now. And in the midst of all of this and over the past week as I've been reading it, the one thing that's really stuck out to me is the fact that it's like a slow burn thriller, and I've noticed this in all of this author's books that I've read so far, because the first book I've read by Jewell is called None of This Is True. I read it around the time it came out, didn't have the best time honestly with it, and I have like a whole video explaining all of what I thought about it, so I'll have it on screen. But then now this month, a couple of weeks ago, I did end up picking up a different book by her called I Found You. It was like a beach thriller or something, and I was just in the mood for that, and in the moment it hit so hard. It was a little slow, but it had my attention hooked, and I really enjoyed that. But then this I feel like is a weird mix of what I feel for both of the previous books I've read her first, because it was slow but it had my attention hooked, and it did have these moments wherein I felt like my heart drop and I knew something bad's gonna happen, but at the same time it wasn't like crazy. So we can come speak about that before I give you my thoughts. Basically, it follows this man called Owen. His life is literally falling apart because he's like 33, I believe. He can't find girlfriends, and he has like a hard time speaking to women because they kind of see him coming across as a creep. So he doesn't want to be perceived that way, but also that is further solidified once he kind of gets accused of sexual misconduct at his workplace as like a geography teacher. So he's suspended from his job, and as all of that's happening, he's actually living in his aunt's apartment and everything's falling apart. And this is where he kind of finds something called incel. So he looks it up online. It's this like dark evil world, and over there he kind of meets this charismatic man called Bryn who kind of talks him into some really terrible shit, and that's where his story kind of starts off. Now across from Owen, so his neighbors essentially are called the Force family. There's a mom who works as a physiotherapist, though I don't think she's working at that point. There's a father who works as a child psychologist, and they have 2 children, and they get really weird vibes from Owen, the neighbor who I was just speaking about, because their teenage daughter swears that he like follows her at night or whatever. And then there's also like weird cases of stuff that's been happening around in the neighborhood that could essentially be pinned on him because of the way he comes across as, and so people start to suspect him for it, even though it may not be him behind it. Now amongst all of this, we have a third perspective added to the mix, and this is this girl called Sapphire. She's a teenager, and when she was younger, she actually worked alongside Ron, the family father, who is the child psychologist, kind of because she had stuff she was dealing with when she was younger and to kind of overcome her trauma, except he kind of abruptly leaves her in the midst of her therapy or whatever. He thinks she's done with it. She feels like she still needs more help, and so she feels abandoned by him, which is why she starts kind of following him around. So she follows him into the neighborhood. She kind of watches his house like an invisible girl or whatever, kind of trying to figure out what goes on and kind of pick into the secrets of his life. Except as all of this is happening, she's watching him. Apparently something happens and suddenly she's disappeared from the street. No one can literally find her. No one knows if she's alive, and the last person who saw her alive was the weird creepy neighbor Owen. So it goes from there. He's starting to be suspected. The police blame him, it goes along those lines. And while he may not be responsible, there's also clues that say he's responsible. So it's very like unreliable narrator, and you're trying to figure out that storyline. But also, as all of this is happening, there's other secrets coming in from the background of like past and stuff, and when all of this surfaces, you're really just trying to figure out what's going on. So it's very slow the way it starts off, but I feel like the ending definitely made up for that. However, it wasn't as shocking as what I felt when I read I Found You, so I didn't have an anxiety attack, thankfully, and so that's all right. But also, it definitely still feels the way I feel about other Lisa Jewell books, when if you told me this happened in real life, I would believe you, because it's realistic in the sense that if stuff like this happened out there, I would be shook, and I knew it could potentially happen, because her books generally just talk about how humans are the monsters and humans are evil, and everything that has to happen happens on this planet itself. And that's where the, I guess, thriller aspect of her books come in from, and those really shock me, because the realism aspect of it, the fact that it could happen potentially in real life and it could be like a documentary I'd watch online, that's just the way I feel about her book. So it definitely did pick up towards the end, but I feel like the conclusion wasn't as crazy as the previous book, which is why I'm gonna end up giving it 3.5 stars. But it was a good read regardless, and the whole impending atmosphere of doom was kind of crazy to go along with. And whenever I read her books, I'm always like scared for the next week or so. So I'm gonna be scared for the next week, but this is what I ended up reading. And now I'm gonna go continue working on my art assignment, maybe grab some dinner first, and as I do all of that, I'm gonna continue my reread of Nora Goes Off Script, because I read this I think last year back in August, reread it in February this year, and then reread again for my birthday. Started a couple weeks ago, but I'm actually currently in the last 30 pages, which are in the thick of the heartbreak of this book, which is why I cannot handle it and I've put it down. I am going to get back to it now, ready for the tears to come in, because listen, it's been a long time coming, and as I do that, I do have the audiobook downloaded from the last couple times I've been reading. So I'm gonna go listen to my audiobook out as I continue working on the assignment, and because there isn't a lot, we're definitely finishing tonight while I'm doing the assignment. So I'll go do that. I'll give you like summary and thoughts on this later, but it's like a 6-star book for me, probably the best one I've read in my life, and I've spoken about it so much on the channel that if you've been around, you're gonna know everything I think about it anyway. But I'll come in for more thoughts later once I do end up finishing out. So I'll see you guys hopefully maybe in a couple hours, if it's still early enough I guess to record. If it becomes too late, I'll see you hopefully tomorrow, and then we'll also have to go ahead and pick out something for tomorrow morning's commute, because it definitely isn't enough to be listening to while I finish my assignment and on the commute. So I'll go figure out what I end up doing, but I'll see you hopefully very soon with the assignment completed and my book completed too, because I'm ready now for my tears. I'm ready to be shook, because I didn't really feel the emotional whiplash I thought I'd feel with Lisa Jewell. So now I'm gonna go and give it to myself anyway through this one, and I'm ready. So see you guys in a bit. Bye. Okay guys, so it's currently Saturday night. It's been a couple days since my last update to you, mainly because I've been really busy in the midst of college and then going to driving school and having my lectures in the evening and all the classes that are getting me so tired that I need to go to bed early. And so I have gotten in some reading, but I just haven't had the time to come sit down and give an update. So here I am finally to come catch you up on the last couple days worth of reading, and then we can probably wrap the vlog up. So firstly, I was actually reading or rereading Nora Goes Off Script for the 3rd time when I last came in and spoke to you. I don't think I gave like a summary in this video specifically, but I've read it in like 3 different videos at this point. One from last year, one from earlier this year, wherein I was rereading some of my 5-star books, or books I thought I was going to give 5-star, because this wasn't originally 5, it was 4.5. I was really stupid back then, because this is like the best book ever. And then now again for my birthday vlog, I started my reread, except I didn't get back to it. I didn't continue it because the ending, I'm telling you, the last 50 pages, they were killing me. They're so heartbreaking. There's so much pain in them that I needed to take a brick because it was emotionally ripping my soul to pieces. And so I'll give you a quick summary, but basically I've spoken about it so much on my channel that at this point you probably know all my thoughts about it if you're a regular watcher. Basically this follows Nora Hamilton. She's like this single mom at this point because her husband actually walks out on her and her 2 kids, saying that he wants like a bigger life. So she's actually happy he's walked away because she didn't really feel anything for him by the end of it. She only realizes that she's sorrowful about the fact that she actually lost herself in her marriage. So because he walks away and he's not taken anything with him because he was not giving anything in the first place, she's not missing the loss of him, she's kind of missing the loss of who she used to be before the marriage because she actually lost herself in it. And so it's kind of like a book about, you know, moving on, and then kind of also a bit like of like a women's fiction with a romance subplot wherein she's finally exploring herself, self-navigation, self-finding or whatever, and then learning to get back on her feet, learning to claim her life back, and, you know, just being alive and what it is to be, I don't know, just human and feel all these emotions. And the way it's done, this is under 300 pages, but it's honestly the most beautiful book I've ever read. So I restarted it for my birthday because at the beginning she actually has this porch swing where she goes and watches like sunrise or whatever, and I woke up to watch sunrise on my birthday, and, you know, the vibes were perfect. This is honestly one of the best books I've ever read, and so it felt perfect. But now going back to the story, apart from all the things that have happened to her as her career, she's kind of like the writer behind the scenes who writes those cheesy Hallmark-ish movies for the romance channel. So as she's doing all of this, she thinks, okay, she's maybe just gonna write like a romance somewhat story of her life, what happened between her and her husband, and then end it the way it actually ended. So it isn't a romance, it's a woman realizing that, listen, let him go. He doesn't love me anyway, why should I keep him? And so that story apparently doesn't get sold to TRC, it gets sold to Hollywood because it's moving and it's emotional and it's got everything Hollywood's looking for. So now it's getting adapted to be a movie. Suddenly she's making so much money off of that pain, and, you know, she's actually happy about the fact that it got her somewhere, because considering the fact that she writes romance as her job, she wasn't really able to see the whole husband's betrayal coming. But the fact that she actually converted it into a cash revenue, considering she has children and, you know, bills to look after since she's a single mom, she's happy about it. Except now Hollywood actually wants to go ahead and film in her backyard in this tea house that's on the cover, because most of the scenes in the book, the more moving ones or whatever in her story, actually take place there, and that's the perfect setting because it happened between her and her real husband Ben over there as well. So she agrees because, again, it's getting more cash rolling. She has like repairs around the house. Except as they come to do this, the man, the actor who's actually going to be playing her husband in the movie, Leo Vance, he ends up asking if he can stay after filming's over for like a week or so, and they start kicking off like a tentative friendship wherein she realizes he's not actually what she imagined him to be. The first impressions were wrong. He is absolutely different and a complete opposite of what her husband used to be. Just because he's playing him on screen doesn't mean he's actually like him, and slowly that friendship turns to something more. They start getting romantically involved. Except, is it even feasible? Because she's like a single mom in the suburbs looking after her children, worrying about bills, and he's like a Hollywood heartthrob who actually has to be filming movies, going from location to location, doesn't really have the stability that her family needs at the moment. Except they all start to emotionally connect, and, you know, there's love and heartbreak and pain and every emotion you'll ever feel on the spectrum. One page you're giggling, the next page you're literally sobbing. This got me in the best way possible. This is under 300 pages, but the reactions this book drags out of me every single time I read it. I wish I was joking, but every damn day my heart breaks knowing that nothing is ever going to make me feel this way, and my heart also breaks for some bits of the story. So I feel like this is the perfect book ever to exist. I'm actually wondering if it's better than Beach Read at this point, which is one of my #1 favorites. So you know what level I'm talking about. And so this time around on my reread, I'm giving it 6 stars. I'm so happy I read it. Can't wait to go back into the reread or whatever, because this book just shows you so much about life and like love and like happiness and moving forward, and there's so many themes in it, and there's so much depth. And the way it's written, Annabel Monaghan writes straight to the point. The lines are in this certain way wherein she's not beating about the bush, but it gives you enough description to have you enthralled. And there's certain stuff, the way it's explained in the book, I'm sorry, I'm actually addicted, and this is one of the best things I've ever read. So if you have to go read it, please do, and I'm happy I read it. But then now that's for that book specifically. Since this is also a video of me reading throughout the week, not just audiobooks but also books I read again on my Kindle, physically, whatever, it doesn't really matter. I forgot to mention over the past week, I have been reading on my Kindle because I have a habit wherein I like to read on my Kindle before I go to bed at night. So I've been reading this book called Mile High. I'm actually a decent way through. If I lock in right now, Saturday night, I should be done, because that's potentially the last day of our reading vlog anyway. And so I'm gonna go continue my book. So far it's not that great, but I feel like if I lock in, I can potentially finish it by tonight, and then we can jump to the next book in the series, because I've heard so much good stuff about that, and I'm only pushing my way through this to kind of get to that. So we'll see how that goes. I don't have a lot left as far as I know, which is why I'll be done soon, and I'll come give you thoughts and updates, and then we can end the vlog. Because I forgot to mention, but I did have to go to college this morning today. I don't know why they did it on a Saturday, but they did. So my sleep is potentially literally just screwed up, and if I don't fall asleep, I am going to be reading, I promise. So I'm going to go do that. The art assignment isn't complete yet as well, because I figured I messed the dates up. It's actually due to be submitted next week, which is why I'll probably go work on it later as well, and then if there's a different vlog going at the time I finish, I will show you what it turned out like. But I'm going to do all of this now, and I'll see you hopefully very, very soon for final updates on our last book, Mile High, which I've been reading literally all week and some of last week as well, because it's so long and it's taking so much time. But hopefully it'll be done soon. So I'm gonna go do that. I'll see you guys in a bit. Bye. Hi guys, so unfortunately it has been a week since my last update to you. I just haven't had the time in the past week or so again to be recording, because I've been extremely busy with my college assignments, the commute back and forth, honestly that's killing me, and then I have like driving school in the evenings, other commitments I need to be getting to. So in the midst of all of that, because this is my side hobby, it's so sad and it sucks, because I really enjoy doing this, you know, as a passion project, but I'm just not getting the time this week or so, and it's kind of annoying. But I have gotten in quite a bit of reading since the last time I came and spoke to you, and so I think we can speak about the books I ended up reading, and then we can end the vlog, because I am reading, do not get me wrong. Thank God for the Kindle app, literally just opening that every now and then, it's like a godsend. But apart from that, there's just been no time to basically sit down and record, which is why here I am now to kind of speak about the last book I read in this video, which is called Mile High. So the last time I came in and spoke to you, I believe I mentioned I was reading it on Kindle. It had been like a week or so at that point that I was reading it, and then, you know, I was going to finish it off. I did go ahead and finish it off after I ended a clip or whatever in the same night, and then while it still was technically a little bit before our official week challenge got over, I figured that should just be the last book, because listen, it was 600 pages. I genuinely was not in the mood to read anything beyond and after that, because I was tired. And then not just that, it was like a Sunday afterward. I needed to go edit and post the video that needed to go out that week, which is why I got busy. Other things came in the way, which is why this is the final book we'll be speaking about in today's video. Essentially, now a summary for Mile High. I believe it's the first book in this sports romance series. I think it's called Windy City, but I'm not really sure, and it's all set in Chicago. And so this first one essentially follows a hockey player. Now for context, before I give you the summary or whatever, I might butcher a bunch of hockey terms, because I don't know anything about the sport. This is also my first hockey romance, so again, do not come after me, take it very easy on me. But basically this book follows this guy called Xanders. He kind of works for something in the NHL or whatever. He's a hockey player, but I don't really get what he does in it, because again, very stupid at sports here. But essentially his role in the media is to kind of play the bad boy of the team, because everyone on the team has some sort of role. He's got his best friend who is like the family guy, and you know, they're running a charity together, but he can't really show that because the media is kind of putting him out there as like a bad boy who kind of, you know, leaves the box with a new girl every night on his arm, or he's always in the penalty box the entire game. And like, he's got that reputation, and he actually enjoys maintaining it, because it kind of shows him that people always think the worst of him, even though he's actually a really big softie internally. And so he's only got like a close-knit mini group of people who actually know what he's truly like, and he's happy and content with it that way, because you'd rather just have like a small group of people who actually know you rather than a whole bunch that are just there for whatever. But essentially, as all of this goes on, he isn't really comfortable with that persona anymore as the years go by or whatever, as he's growing older. And in the midst of all of that, there's this new flight, I guess, crew that gets appointed to their season. So now every game they're gonna fly to, there's a new flight crew that's gonna be flying them, the same agency, throughout the whole season. And as all of that's happening, he starts getting in contact with one of the flight assistants or whatever, one of the flight attendants, and she's called Stevie essentially. And you know, he first wants to like put her in her place or whatever, because she kind of has this thing wherein she doesn't fall at his feet like everyone else does. Thanks to his reputation, she sees right through it. But as all of that's happening, now he's suddenly not sure if he's pushing her buttons because he likes her, or is because whatever is going on. And so as all of this is happening, suddenly he's not really sure if he wants that persona anymore. And it's a huge book about how people can't really be judged from the first go or whatever. You can't really see stuff online and just figure that to be the gospel truth, because it's really not. And multi-layered, faceted, I guess, character angles to someone. Now on the other hand, we have Stevie, who is a flight attendant. She thinks she's seen like everything in the sports, I guess, category of flying people around or whatever, except now when she comes in contact with Xander's, when her flight agency kind of signs on to kind of take them around everywhere, she starts to see this person who isn't really very sure of himself internally, but he appears to be confident. And so again, the multifacetedness is very, I guess, visible or whatever, and she sees through all of that to the point where now she's not really falling to his feet. Like I said, they're more bantering, and as all of that's happening, she's had like a really terrible past experience, which is why she told herself she will never go out with like an athlete again or something like that. But now suddenly she's starting to fall for him as well. She's starting to fall for the soft, sweet side that comes out of him only when he's around her, specifically because again, in the media, in the public eye or whatever, he's shown to be such a horrible person, but then behind closed doors, he's just doing all these soft, sweet, small things for her, and suddenly it's all adding up and she's falling for him, except she can't really break that rule of hers because she's got valid reasoning behind it. And so can they be together, can they not be together? And it's like a slow burn hockey romance. Can't believe that was my first one, but it is. And now thoughts. I will say the first 30% of this book really drags, because it's all just slandering his reputation, talking shit about him and making him appear to be this really horrible person. And I get that that's the point. This book was 600 pages long. It didn't have to be this long, I'll be so for real. It could have been maybe 100, 200 pages shorter. The last like 20% of the book definitely dragged in that sense. The last like 80 to 100% by what I'm saying or whatever. But I will say the whole build up and the end, even though it was mid, I feel like it was very necessary to their character arcs, because at the beginning he does have to come across as a bad guy even though he isn't, just for you to actually start to see how flawed human beings are. You actually start to see his character more deeply, and I feel like that was really well carried out. So I will say, if you want to pick up the series, you definitely have to stick with this book. It's gonna take a little bit for you to start liking it, but I feel like after the 30% mark, it gets easier to enjoy, and I was eating it up at some point. Stevie, I really like how sure she is of everything in herself, and we saw some side characters too that I'm assuming now will be in the next books in the series, so I'm really excited to keep reading. But this wasn't the best introduction or beginning to the series, because like I said, you really have to stick it out to actually enjoy this. I have seen scathing reviews of this online, so I will say again, if it's really not your cup of tea, maybe don't try it. But I will also say, I feel like people online, the way they treat this book as if it's like a war crime or whatever, it's really not that bad. I feel like it's overdone online, especially the DNF reviews I've seen, because some people, they end up DNFing before the 30% mark, before it starts getting bearable, and I don't really think those reviews are very fair to what the book's actually about, because it does get better, do not get me wrong, it's just it takes a little bit to get into it, and some people just cannot deal with that, I guess. So I find it annoying looking back now, because it wasn't that bad of a book, but what's actually pissing me off is the fact that people DNF it and then talk shit about it, even though they didn't even give it like a fair chance going into it or whatever. So it's something you definitely have to stick with if you think you might enjoy it or whatever. If you don't think you will, again, literally just skip it if you want. Not a lot you will miss, but I will come to that conclusion when I continue the series, which I will in the future. So very excited to read the next books. The covers are so cute. At some point maybe I'll get myself only the ones I actually enjoy, because like I said, I feel like this was a little too long for my liking. It wasn't my favorite book, but it was good enough in the moment. It had me entertained throughout the week, and I had a good time watching them kind of fall for each other, watching their emotional sides come into play, because it's a lot deeper than your average romance. It has to be. It's a slow burn. There's so much page length or whatever, something needs to go on, but I feel like the depth in it is very well explored, and you kind of see characters that you maybe hate at the beginning, but the development is so good that at the very end of it, not even joking, I was grinning so hard when I was reading the epilogue, because it was perfect. I loved every second, and this was, I think, 3 stars. So that's my last book in this video. That's it for this video. I know it took a little bit to record. It took quite a bit of chaos to actually pull this together, but here we are anyway. Sorry that I came in a week later, but regardless, if you had a fun time coming along with me, kind of watching the books I ended up reading in the first week of college, like, comment, share, subscribe. YouTube things, you know how to do them. And if you've got recommendations for me similar to my tastes in this video or whatever, because I'm not finding the best books at the moment, please comment so I have stuff to look forward to, because at the moment my TBR is looking really bad and I'm scared I'm gonna fall in a reading slump. So maybe I'll go do a reread, I'm not really sure, but I'll go figure that out, and I'll see you hopefully very soon in next week's video. And until then, take care, have a great rest of your day, and see you very soon. Bye.